everybody, and welcome. Today I want to give you a basic overview of the application Photopea. Now, Photopea is very similar to Photoshop. It's almost identical. We just have some differences in the way that some tools look, but for the most part, everything works and acts the exact same way. First thing I want to point out here is our toolbar. Our toolbar is over here on the left. So with any tool that you need, you can find over here in our toolbar. Now, something I want to point out here is where we see these little arrows on the bottom right of each box. Notice how some of them have them, some of them don't. Most of them all have a little arrow though at the bottom right-hand corner. This means that if we click and hold with our mouse, we'll have different options for those tools. So for example, if I want to switch my brush tool to the pen tool, I just click and hold, and then now I'll be able to use my pencil tool. Now sometimes you'll have a tool selected. Once you select, say, the pencil tool, and let's say I want my brush tool, I'll have to go to my pencil tool, click and hold, and change to my brush tool. Now something else I want to point out, if you hover over a tool, you'll notice that we have a little box that comes up. And it tells us brush tool, and then in parentheses it says B. This is the key command for that tool. So let's say I am using my move tool here, and the key command is V. Let's say I want to switch to my brush tool. I just have to click B on my keyboard, and notice how it changed to my brush tool. Something else I want to point out up here is our options bar. This up here is our options bar. Notice how our options change depending on what tool we select. So depending on what you are doing and what you're working on in Photopea or Photoshop, you will have different options to use for the different tools. Now something else while we're up here, I want to point out our application bar. Now the application bar is just right on top of that, and that's where it has all of our application options. So that's where we would go to either save or change the size of our image or add a new window for our panel. Now, I don't want to confuse you with the application bar, but it is different than our options bar right below. So we just want to remind ourselves that the options bar and the application bar are two separate sections of the application window. Now, last but not least, we have our panels. Now, our panels are all over here on the right, okay? Now, our panels, this is where we're gonna get to our layers. We can change our colors. We can add different effects and things over here. So when we think about changing certain layers and things like this, that's gonna be over here in our panels column over to the right, okay? So once again, we have our toolbar on the left here. We have our options bar right above. On top of that, we have our application bar. And then on the right-hand column here, we have our panels bar.